Hey everybody, welcome to another Age of Grogu, and I've got me, Max, Jason, Elijah. How's it going, guys?
Good.
What
Hey.
up?
So, what's been going on, guys? What's been happening much in the last week? And caught anything new? Watched anything interesting? What's been going on? Elijah,
What?
anything? Yep.
Oh no,
Oh,
I caught up on the
Um.
boys.
oh, huh?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
which
Go
one?
ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah,
boys.
go ahead, Jason.
Caught up on the boys.
The boys?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
good.
we'll definitely go into that in a few minutes' time. Yeah, I enjoy it. They've dropped the first three episodes of The Boys so far. I have been enjoying it immensely. I feel like it's. I feel like we've had this great lucky streak with that show. I mean, Gen V was the last time they put something on, which was 6 months ago, which I very much enjoyed. And we'll talk a little bit about The Boys now, may
And
as well.
this is what
Yeah.
happens when something's well written.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
that's it.
it's a
Yeah,
huge spectacle for Amazon. I think
yeah.
it's one of their. But Amazon has a pretty good
Hey,
run,
sucked. Yeah,
right?
I agree. It's continued. Yeah, it's continued to be amazing, and
Except for
they've
Rings of
just
Power.
I was
yeah,
just thinking
yeah,
that. I was just thinking,
yeah,
except for Rings of
yeah,
For
Power.
Rings of Power.
yeah.
Holy
Doesn't
crap!
season
Totally
two
forgot
start
about that.
soon on that show? I meant,
Supposedly, I mean, all,
yes.
all viewer will be happy.
Yeah. But so far, I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers away since it really kind of just opened. But the first episode kind of sets up its kind of premise for the season. Obviously, it's going to be the election kind of situation with. I'm terrible with some of the names of the characters, but what's the name? The head buster chick who's running
Oh
to
my
be
god, I'm
president.
blanking on her name
Newman.
now.
Yeah, Newman.
Newman.
Yes, Newman. Yeah, and she's a great actress. I've seen her in a couple of other bits and pieces before, and I enjoy her. Popping up there. But we've got that going on.
Consistent thing about the show.
Yeah,
New season. Good amount of male frontal nudity.
yeah. What is it with that? We got
There's a lot
so
of
much of this.
squeezing a lot of wieners into that show. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
plenty
produced
in,
by Seth Rogen. That's
I
very
mean, they were
on-brand for his
last
sense of
season. The guy
humor.
went into a wiener. He went into the.
Yeah, that was like a
wiener.
first.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
like the first 10
yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
see like a
yeah. That
gang
was
of
gross.
it's like a sausage fest at a bar mitzvah. That's all I'll say.
God, yeah. I mean, let's just
I
say
guess they're
Human
making up for all
Centipede was kind of the closest
unnecessary
thing to that.
boobs in TNA in the '80s movies, of women. Like they
Lots of
just
D. Yeah,
like in the
Yeah.
'80s, it was just like
Uh-huh.
boobs for no reason in movies. In comedies, like
Yeah.
we need to have boobs in there somehow. Like put some
Yeah.
dicks in there. We need more dicks. We can
No,
get
I-
away with it on
I've seen
TV.
a lot more
Yeah.
dicks than boobs in the last
Well, that was in episode
That's what
two.
I'm saying.
Episode
That's
two
what I'm
had a lot
saying.
more
They're
dicks
making
than
up
boobs.
for
Yeah.
lost
Yeah.
time by
Sure,
using dicks
yeah.
instead of boobs.
But there is there's a continual, and again I've never read the comics, but there is a continual dark element to these characters that seems to just keep on being. They just keeps on being interesting and assholes. But it seems to be it's interesting. This darkness to these characters make it more fun to watch. And it really is taking what if your favorite superheroes were really kind of mischievous, devious, and sick-minded.
I think it goes past
Well,
that, though. I think it's not just a
But-
dark Superman story. It's
Yeah.
a dark satire that focuses
Sure,
on American politics.
Oh,
push their
totally.
narrative
Yeah, it's
forward.
got
A
all
lot
these
better than
things.
The comic is very much just dark superhero stuff
Yeah,
with
yeah.
some, satirical elements in there and mostly comedy satire. Where the show is taking the dark satire to like new levels with like
Sure.
focusing this season on the alt-right movement is such a smart idea
Yeah.
because that
Oh,
would
yeah.
get people that would be supporting someone like Homelander who's just a psychopath.
Yeah. But we're also getting a lot of good story. By episode 3, we're getting all. I mean, I think episode 3 was one of the strongest stories because it dealt with characters' relationship and emotion in those relationships, and a lot of those stories just flip things on end on each character that they dealt with a relationship for. I felt, and I very much enjoyed it. Between Butcher and the Kid, between Starlight and Firecracker, I think was a very interesting dynamic there of how they dealt with that, and also between A Train and the one who he killed his wife, his girlfriend in the first season. Oh my god, what
Huey.
I've got Huey. Thank you, yes, Huey. And then
I
of
thought you
course
were
between
A Train in the Deep.
yeah, no, sorry. Oh, no. A Train and Huey, and then between Huey and the mother element was actually a really good. This episode 3, had some really great stuff going on there.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
and All I'll say is Vault on Ice was probably one of the funniest things I think I've seen like for a long time. It had me hysterically in tears. It was
It's funny how
fun.
they really like press in the conservative American values with these
Yeah.
superheroes.
Oh, sure.
It's like
Yeah.
just so blatant about it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's hilarious. It's funny. It must be weird for like a lot of conservatives to watch this show.
No, here's the
Oh,
thing.
sure,
They're
yeah.
media illiterate. I've seen people straight up supporting Homelander unironically on
Uh-huh.
like Reddit.
There's a whole there's a whole subreddit called Homelander is right. Right?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I think
Jeez.
so.
Media illiteracy at its finest.
But they've also got that character kind of stepping out of the shadows saying humans are just little insects to him, and he doesn't really,
He's a
it's
sociopath.
crazy.
Yeah,
he's a
he's
sociopath.
really
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He tried to
Totally.
pass it on to Ryan. He's like, well,
Yeah.
it'll be okay. You'll get to save people.
Mhm.
And then he's like,
Yeah.
realizes he's sad for something else. He's like, oh,
yeah.
that's why you're sad.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I really like that Mortal Kombat game that they're playing in it.
Now that doesn't exist as a game, right? Because it's almost like the suit.
It's
So
the
you
race
know
to
it's
Mortal
going to
Kombat.
exist. You know that game is going to exist in
No, it's a reference to Homelander is now in the Mortal Kombat video game as a playable character. So it's a little bit of a reference to that.
Sure, but you also know in the real
nice.
world they're going to create this game with the boys and actually make it a real game for.
No, they're doing that with Mortal Kombat already. He's already in the game, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what that game would be in that universe when those
Sure.
are like main subjects.
Yeah.
But what I like about that is it's like the internet kind of leaking into like the little
Back
stuff
around,
they
full
do in
circle.
this show, because like when he's scrolling through the characters and he sees the deep, it's a scene when he goes which I think is hilarious. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but like that was like I think they pushed that as a meme a lot.
Oh, really?
It's from the last season.
Gotcha.
When the Deep shows up, but he's
does the head
he's
turn?
slowly like he's like one of my favorite characters, and it's because he's so dumb.
He's been funny this season. He's been like top tier goober.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Oh, and the introduction of that one other new.
Yeah, I forgot her name.
Sister Sage. Oh, she's
I
interesting.
doesn't remember anyone's
Yeah.
name. Sister Sage.
Sister
Yeah,
Sage,
dude.
that's it. Yeah,
Good stuff, man.
She's got to see things coming a mile away since she's the intelligence. Of
I
the
think she's
actual-
playing all of them. I think she's.
Oh,
obviously-
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
She's manipulating everything to go her way.
That scene between her and the Deep at the end of episode 3. Again, I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but man, that's all set up. She's got the long game playing right now.
He's the most dangerous out of all of them, man.
Yeah.
That's good. It's like Moriarty, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally.
But, yeah, I'm loving the show. I think we got Game of Thrones coming soon.
House of Dragon.
House of the Dragon Part
So
2
close.
is coming tonight, which is cool. Actually, just one last thing on the boys there. Season 5 will be its finale. That's the ending of the show, the end of Season 5. So no, Season 5. They're going to do
they're doing
one more.
season.
They're doing one more season, and then that'll be it for the show. So they're putting an end game to it. So it feels like we're coming to some sort of an end game, because it feels like the idea of wiping out superheroes in this world is definitely in the bonus factor for
They
humanity.
did say there'll be more spin-offs though, so it's not like the IP is going away and that the format of superhero satire is going to die out. But they're just ending the main show.
Yeah.
That's what's so exciting about this show is that everything is so high stakes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like even from the beginning of like Huey killing one of the 7, it's just like, oh man, what's gonna happen now? Like just call back to like everything that's happened in the show. Always felt like, oh my god, this is crazy. This is the craziest thing that's happened so far.
Yeah.
And they keep being able to like step it up, and that's what's so great about this show.
Yeah. Any other last thoughts about the boys, guys?
Feral fucking Streep.
Oh yeah.
I guess that guy's directing movies again, huh? After he was like a disgraced director for a little bit, but
yeah, the fun little cameo in episode 2 was kind of fun. Yeah, I agree. we'll talk about House of the Dragon, which obviously airs tonight. Season 3 is also being renewed. I don't know. We can there's not much really to talk about
before the season 2 premiere.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love what season 1 did. I think it was better. Hey, yep. The boys is not my thing. Happy. Yeah, it was. It's fair enough. Yeah, it's definitely not everybody's thing. That's for sure. So yeah, House of the Dragon season 2. I love what they did in season 1. I thought it was a very kind of like almost every episode was actually probably like I thought was just nearly 10 out of 10 for me. I love what they did with every episode. So I'm curious to see what they do with season 2. So
yeah, it's like back when Game of Thrones was good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Funny, my Liz's cousin just had her baby named Rhaenyra.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I always find it weird when
Popular
you name your
names.
kid after a Targaryen.
That's funny.
I saw my cousins this last week, and his youngest daughter's name, Arya.
Arya? Oh, really?
Thrones, right? And he's like, yeah, it is. I was like, well, at least it's a Stark.
That's funny.
There's some
Well, I'm naming my kid Batman. Can't go wrong with Batman.
But then, like, I was in the
Not
Philippines.
Bruce?
I was in the Philippines, and like, we were on a tour, and like the tour guide was talking about his daughter who was just born, and this was like second to last episode of the finale.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh yeah, her name is Daenerys."
That's
before
so funny.
a week before she goes nuts and does a
really?
genocide.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm just like,
that's so funny.
I
Awkward.
understand if it was like the early seasons, but like, man.
Yeah. What else have you guys been up to this week? What else have you checked out and seen and watched?
I've been binge reading Animal Man. I've been binge reading Batman.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
I've been binge reading
Wait.
Rom.
Okay.
I've been just reading a bunch since my car's been out of commission the last like day and a half.
And this is all the stuff that you recently picked up, but you picked up those. You got all those books recently, right?
In the last couple months.
Yeah.
Have you caught up with like everything over the last couple of months of reading, or because you got a lot of comics?
I have a couple books I'm saving. I have like I got Black Science Volume 1 for like I think $10 a couple months ago. And I've been waiting for like a trip to bring that on just to have something good to read.
So,
but I did get Animal Man yesterday because I saw it at Earth 2 for $30, and I was been waiting to read. Like I read it. I went waiting to get the Omni for a while.
So I'm curious on something because you are a writer. You're doing your own comic book. When you are reading other people's comics, are you doing this just because you're entertained by reading what other people are writing, or are you also taking note on things as a creative element and saying, I like what was done there, and your brain ticks on your own stuff on how that kind of situation could be?
Yeah, I mean, it always kind of depends. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of stuff I read for pleasure. Like, I don't think ROM is going to really influence Centurion's Dice much. Yeah. This is more just a for pleasure thing. But when I read a lot of like Grant Morrison stuff, like Animal Man or his Batman stuff, I'm definitely thinking about some of the more esoteric things that he writes and some of the more out there ideas and how he puts bigger ideas into more digestible formats in his comics. Sometimes his ideas aren't so digestible. And I think about that too, about how he's able to confuse people kind of on purpose. And, I think from different things I get different stuff from. Obviously not everything I'm trying to pull stuff from, but like when, like the Centurion's Dice, like for one of the first things I decided was to put those info pages in the book. And that all came from the Modern X stuff. Jonathan Hickman putting info page, or not info pages, he calls them data pages. Right. And, I always thought it was an interesting way to, heighten your lore and dig deeper without getting too muddled into just characters talking about it, is just put lore drops in the middle of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. I like that. That's good stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, lore drops. It reminds me of like passages from Night Owl's biography in Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd do like that, or like some news articles. Randomly,
yeah, exactly.
Universe news articles, just so you get a more in-depth feel of like the kind of the cultural tone of setting that you're displaying. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Good way of catching readers up with the lore without having the characters hammer over the head. Remember that time a dragon attacked? You get to actually like maybe like a diary page, like a thing about it and not have to just beat people over the head with it. Just put it more naturally into the book in its own way.
Yeah, I like that because that's like always a tough thing to do, and it always bugs me when they kind of have to be kind of heavy-handed with the lore, or like explain, or like heavy exposition and stuff like that. Like I guess that's just
your way of cutting that exposition out. You can just get through your story and have the lore still there. So when everything kind of merges together and those ideas meet, people are fully caught up and on board.
Yeah, it's nothing like fluid exposition, like where just every little thing has a meaning and pushes the story along. Good stuff, man.
Cool. Elijah, anything interesting? Catch any shows, any movies?
I watched that Jim Henson documentary.
Oh
which
yeah,
I really
what'd you think?
I liked it. It was very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've seen the other ones that they've done on him before.
Right.
Let's build in a few. Obviously, it's different from the other ones, so it's nice to see new interviews and new old footage of his earlier works and that type of stuff. But it was good. It could have been a two-parter thing. It could have been longer, I think. But,
yeah. I feel like they missed a lot of stuff out in between that whole.
Yeah, it's nice just to see. I mean, there are a lot of documentaries are coming up on people and celebrities, and it's kind of nice. I like that. I like music documentaries or whatever about bands. Yeah. So it's nice to see highlights on profiles on people, which I really
especially
like.
Jim Henson, because he had such a
Jim Henson. And I haven't other than that, I don't think I've caught up on on shows. I mean, I've watched the Acolyte stuff, but I haven't gotten
okay. Well, we'll talk about that soon enough for sure. I actually went and saw this film yesterday, Inside Out 2. It was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the first film, you'll definitely enjoy the second film. It was as good as the first film, but I didn't feel it was any better. But I thought it was, it was creative. It was fun. It was definitely nice to see. I feel like Inside Out was like maybe the last Pixar film that I thoroughly did enjoy watching in the theaters. And after that, they kind of had this bit of a dip in what they've been putting out the last couple of years. So it was kind of fun to see that it's doing pretty well. I mean, the opening weekend here in the US, it made 155 million worldwide.
Theaters were packed this weekend. I saw Bad Boys yesterday, and the theater was absolutely packed with people. Like lines out the door.
Yeah, and I realize what it is that people have been watching. People have been pre-booking Deadpool, obviously, and tickets for Deadpool when it comes out in July. People want to see comedies. They're in another slump in their lives where they need something fun, funny, and silly to watch. Obviously, if Ryan Reynolds' film didn't do that to the box office, but they also
I don't know who that was for, though.
Yeah, that was the thing. At least we know with Inside Out who
it's for stuntmen.
There you go. Yeah.
No, it's the Fall Guy.
That's the Fall Guy. Yeah. But even that didn't do too well. But I don't know if that was necessarily set out to be a comedy. But I feel like
it's not even
need a little bit of humor.
Fall Guy was a TV show in the 80s.
Yes.
The 90s.
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. I get.
I wanted to go see the Fall Guy in theaters yesterday, but it was only playing at City Walk.
Oh, really? So it's
trying to pay for parking down there. Me and Brent just wanted to go see Bad Boys in Burbank.
Yeah, it definitely felt more like a kids' movie, but I mean, at least when you're watching something like Inside Out, there's a level.
If it's actually kids part 2.
Huh? Yeah.
I was just joking.
No,
Matt's the only one that got that joke.
Okay.
Because he says "if" is a kids' movie, and it's it's a completely different movie, but it's
okay. All right.
Never mind.
Fair enough.
Kids is a completely different movie.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, it seems like people definitely are trying to get a little bit of humor into their lives because they feel pretty much down and all that. So I think comedies this year, any comedies that come out are gonna hopefully, probably do better in the box office and draw a big crowd. And again, going back Bad Boys 2, it came across as a fun, silly adult,
what other comedies?
Action
I mean,
comedy.
Beetlejuice. I mean,
Beetlejuice is not really.
I mean, what other any other big silly comedies that I know of that are coming?
Right, but it's something. A Deadpool, obviously, but it's like I feel like those are the films that are doing really well in the box office right now, and the fact is,
like 200 million in the opening weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, again, Inside Out, it literally made 290 worldwide. I know that Deadpool's selling out all over the place too.
You also got to consider that it's a sequel to a priorly successful film, right?
It is, but they've done, they've dropped sequels.
With kids' movies, sequels are always weird though, because it's like you can never count on kids to really care about a sequel, just because they might have aged out of it. So then the new generation has to be introduced to it first and then see it.
Yeah. End of the day, it feels like we're in a safe zone of saying that at least the comedy, even if it's the comedy sequel, is the thing that people seem to be, going towards right now. I guess, Bad Boys obviously 4. It's a sequel to 4th film, but it's also a comedy, and it is in the right time that people need to feel a little bit happy about something in their life, and I feel that is a situation because it's just
Will Smith went to secretly watch it at the movie theater down the street from me.
Oh, no way!
Wow. Yeah,
that's cool.
I saw like a bunch of people. There's like a video of him walking around.
Oh, really?
The theater,
that's cool.
Like, oh my god!
Oh, that's
like
cool.
Secret screening, or just like a regular screening that he just showed up to.
Yeah, well, we had the same thing when we went and saw the Joker, because the screening before we saw the Joker was the actor, lead.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. Thank you. Sorry. He literally was there, apparently thanking people to go see the film, on the screening before us.
That's
so
cool.
we missed out on seeing. But it's like, but someone was saying, he was there and outside,
dressed up as an usher and snuck.
No, he was apparently just greeting people. We went there. We went to the movie. You guys were there, right? When the guy was saying it, we saw.
No, I know. Jay is making a joke about the movie because he dressed up as a joke.
Of course. Oh, okay.
In that old school red,
sure,
shoulder lapels.
Yeah. I did watch something else that was on Netflix that dropped this week. Ultraman Rising.
They're making so much Ultraman stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really seen anything related to Ultraman, but it's obviously kaiju and stuff like that. But Industrial Light and Magic did the animation on this, special effects animation. Yeah. ILM Animation actually did do the animation to this film, and it was actually quite beautiful in areas. I'd say it's the closest thing, but very different than the Spider-Verse films in its style of animation. It's worth checking out. Long film. It was a 2-hour film, which is, for an animation is kind of a bit lengthy, but it was good. It was cool. But that's kind of like all I've seen kind of this week outside of the Acolyte, which I guess we'll go into some other news first. Let's go into other little things that have dropped during the week. Last Airbender season 2.
I saw this.
Yeah, look like they're now open search casting for Toph, who was like a major character in the animated show from season 2 and 3. I wonder if they'll get a real blind actress.
Open casting for a pretty main character like this, because I guess she's Toph is a very hard character to cast in general.
Sure,
you really have to cast that wide net, but it's interesting. I've seen a lot of actors share that open casting call.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be thousands of people around the world auditioning for that part. But
so crazy, an open casting call like that. It's just like, that's me. Could you imagine that looks just like me?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Could you imagine a character that was like, I look like that. And then just getting an audition,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The question is, would they actually cast a real blind girl, or do you think they'll?
That's what they're looking for. They said that in the casting call. They are looking for someone who's blind. Or have that representation, and someone who'd be informed on how to play a blind person.
The caster, she's like, I've never seen the show.
That's terrible, Jason. Oh my god.
I was just thinking, unfortunately, every blind actor didn't see the casting call.
Oh my god, guys, you are terrible. No. No.
Watch her say it as a joke, though.
Good god.
I've actually seen the show, believe it or not.
You can hear the show. Anyway, But the cool thing is, they're going into production soon, hopefully, and we'll get season 2 and 3 back to back with each other, hopefully a year apart from each other. Small news. I don't know if this is like a major thing of any sort, but it looks like the next Jurassic Park movie is going to be shooting in Thailand, which is kind of cool.
Oh God, they're just going outside.
Man.
I'm just saying they're going out of state. I mean, out of country to film because it's cheaper. Like they're not going to go to Hawaii. They're not going to go to anywhere. They're going to go to Thailand because that's like the cheapest place they can make it.
Yeah, but it's also going to provide some new landscape that we don't normally see.
For sure. I'm just saying that like the film industry is leaving the U.S.
Yeah, it's going to look just like Hawaii.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's elements.
It's no different than you could make Thailand look like Hawaii. No problem. It's going to look like Hawaii.
I just hope they improve on the story from the last Jurassic Park films. Because
the last one was way too action-centric, and it wasn't really... I think Jurassic Park lives best in that thriller vibe more than the action vibe, and I thought the last one was basically like...
The first
this guy's punching dinosaurs in the face.
That's it.
Yeah,
I give
I'd say the first four, definitely. The first...
No, I didn't like Jurassic World.
I got through 3, 4, like...
Wait, it's for the one
two
with,
is even iffy for me.
Will Macy?
Yes. No, there was 3. That was 3.
3, okay. I don't mind that one.
It was okay. Yeah, it didn't bother me. It wasn't as good as the first 2.
They already lost it by then for me. I was
really?
Nah, it's not the same.
They
already wore it out by then. It was like already done. You know?
Well, I'm hoping they'll do this kind of soft reboot of some sort, or at least a soft reworld kind of thing. We'll see. I mean, either way, whatever.
I think they are doing a soft reboot. I don't think they're bringing back Chris Pratt or Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Bryce Dallas Howard as an actor. I don't particularly enjoy her performance, especially in that. It just didn't do anything for me. And Chris Pratt, he's playing a role, simple as that. And it's like, okay.
He's like a cardboard box of an actor.
A little bit. He needs a good director behind him, and that was the problem. I think the direction on those Jurassic World films were not terribly strong.
No, they weren't. You're never going to be able to do the first one.
No, of course not.
I feel like a lot
Spielberg
of these are trying to take like all the stuff that worked and kind of mash them together, but it's all just kind of empty.
Yeah, I agree. Ghostbusters 2 turns 35 today.
Ooh.
Just thought I'd say. Okay, wow, that was kind of like...
What a great image you pulled, too.
Oh my God.
All images of Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I know. Ghostbusters 2. All right.
Naked chest painting, Victorian painting of them holding a baby.
There you go.
This is actually...
Who's the baby?
Can you go back to that? Can you go back to the photo? Go back.
Oh, sure. Yep.
This is the sequel to 3 Men and a Little Baby, 4 Men and a Baby.
4 Men and a Baby. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, I just thought it worth mentioning. It was like, wow, all these films are getting up there. I did see the trailer at the beginning of Inside Out 2 for this film, like a new extended trailer. The trailer, or the first trailer they dropped for this looked really amazing, and the second trailer kind of threw me a little bit. As to, they kind of went a bit more into what the story is going to be about, and I was like, oh, this is not quite what I was imagining from what the first trailer showed. It's got some beautiful animation, but I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely curious to check it out.
That movie looks like something like based on a cool drawing someone did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a really good drawing of a robot in a forest with a bird in its hand. He's like, you know what? We can make this a movie. And they're just like inspired by that cool drawing they saw on Tumblr. You know?
And again, and the way they promoted the first trailer, I had these images of like how this could sound like it's playing out. And it seems like it's not going that direction.
Isn't it like a lost scout droid or something, and then it crashes?
Yeah.
They have to kind of get it back.
And then it communicates with animals and stuff like that, and it was like, okay. And then it's
that's not where I expected that to go.
Well, no, but I'm saying like it was like just the communication became it became.
I want to know
less,
what the movie Brent thought in his head was going to be.
It seemed like there was definitely this idea of connecting with nature, but suddenly when the little creatures and the foxes and the rabbits and all that the robot starts learning the elements of how to speak to them, then it becomes like human dialogue. I think we could have had less human dialogue and a little bit more empathetic connection of creatures. It would have been more interesting. That's where I thought it was going, was an empathetic element to the wildlife, and a connection to the wildlife. But we're getting full on animated, rabbits that start speaking like Thumper did from Disney and all that. And I was like, I wish it wasn't going that direction. I wish we could have got something a bit more implied. But either way, I'm gonna check it out. Animation looks cool.
Yeah, is that DreamWorks, right?
I believe it's DreamWorks. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that DreamWorks isn't afraid to just go all the way out on their style change.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Ever since like Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
They've had this kind of painterly look to a lot of their animation.
Yeah, no, but that also developed this. It developed this new look over the course of time, and it really wasn't until the last film that it got that cool new look.
I didn't watch that Kraken movie though, the Teenage Kraken. I think
I didn't see it
back on that one, but
yeah,
1 year.
Yeah,
I wasn't interested in that anyway.
Yeah, I didn't do much. Knives Out 3 have got this kind of like almost the entire cast. I believe they started shooting this week.
Oh yeah, it's a great cast.
Yeah,
better as I
look. Close, Josh Brolin. Yeah, Andrew Scott.
First movie since his snowmobile accident.
Yeah. It's got Andrew Scott in there. That could make things really.
Thomas Hayden
Church.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all we know about it right now, but I just thought it was kind of worth mentioning. It's like, I'm excited to see what they do.
I feel like you could get anyone in those movies these days because that became the whodunit. It's like a renaissance of the whodunit genre.
Sure, yeah.
But done the opposite of
yeah.
What's those other whodunits? With the guy that stars in Axe.
Yeah, Orient Express and all that.
Yeah, those movies, I cannot stand those. Every one of those has gotten worse and worse, in my opinion. Yeah. And they've gotten I think it's just like this to pump that guy's ego, the guy making them, the director-actor guy.
Right.
They're not very good, and he's just like doing a pretty bad performance. The Murder on the Orient Express movies.
Oh yeah.
The more recent ones the last one was Daisy Ridley, right? Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the one on the boat.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
They've been bad. They've been so bad. It's like Knives Out is like showing that guy how to do a whodunit.
It's like Clue and Whodunit. I mean, Clue is like the best whodunit movie.
Are you referring to the Orient Express movies, or are you referring to the Knives Out films? Because the second Knives Out was really entertaining too. Very different.
Glass Onion was great.
Glass Onion was awesome in a very different way to the first one. So, and it didn't feel like
a good take on new money.
Yeah,
like the first one's old money.
Yes,
and this one's like new money.
Yeah,
had all these crazy archetypes on there that are so prominent these days in culture.
Knives Out. Yeah, seriously, great. if it's on somewhere, if you have Netflix, check it out.
I think it's on Netflix. Yeah. Batista gives an all-time great performance in that.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely. The second one was just fun and totally different from the first one, so it's worth checking out for sure. Penguin keeps getting these little moments of release in September, but we still haven't got a full kind of breakdown description of what this show is really going to be about.
What the Penguin, Brent?
Obviously, but I'm saying
he's going into he's creating a frozen yogurt chain of restaurants in Gotham City.
The Iceberg
he's going to bring frozen yogurt back.
His enterprise,
the Iceberg Lounge, of course.
Club that he just took over from who was that? Falcon's nightclub.
Yeah,
Falcon's.
And he's gonna start a Pinkberry.
What? Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do a rewatch of the Batman before that show drops, just so I can refresh my memory. So, on everything, but
he's
again,
good in that.
Yeah, they dropped a really surprise drop on an animated film this week, part 1 of 2 for The Watchmen, chapter 1 and 2.
That looks like shit, dude.
It looks bad.
Why do they?
I think they're only making this to piss off Alan Moore. I think this is just made so Alan Moore would be screaming at the air more. Like it looks bad. It doesn't need to be made.
Like the animation style looks like crap, dude.
Yeah, why can't they do it right? I mean, they did this before already. They did the stop motion animated comic book thing, and that was okay. I mean, I like that better because
it's be kind of their
animated.
own.
At least it's the animated art, but the narration of that was terrible because it was one guy doing all the voices.
Yeah,
it was bad. But it was actually it was word for word the graphic novel,
like an episode of Fat Albert.
Yeah, it's
all the voices.
Yeah, it just was bad. And this doesn't look
motion comic is definitely worth checking out, though, more than this animated adaptation.
That's what I'm saying. The motion comic is better.
Motion comics are their own like thing, and that was all we had for a while. I feel like just use Flash animation to animate these panels.
Right.
You guys saw the Iron Man Extremis in the motion comic form.
I missed that. Marvel released them on these DVDs. Like you'd have I had the Ultimate X-Men one.
It was on Netflix.
Netflix
had them all when they started their streaming service. This is back in like 11. But yeah, this one, Max saying something about the animation looking like crap.
Right.
I think it looks like crap. They should have just done it like X-Men or something, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. CG. Yeah, it could have looked way better.
And who's excited about this anyway?
No,
I mean, again, it was more of a surprise that
preliminary comic book fan who's only read Watchmen and V for Vendetta and thinks it's the deepest things on the planet, and he just wants to stroke DC's own ego more. Like I feel like anyone who's at least a little bit into comics is gonna just dismiss it entirely because we've had one adaptation, we've had a motion comic. And then we've had another TV show that was completely different. I think they don't need to keep beating Watchmen over the head more. I think it's been done. They've already made sequels, prequels,
before Watchmen. We had all those
after Watchmen.
I said that in the comments that the rights owners need to exploit more of their properties. That's all it is.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. That's all it is.
I also think they have a deal with Alan Moore with once the rights, once they don't publish Watchmen for a few years, the rights revert back to Alan Moore. So they just keep making more and more stuff with it, so they can have perpetual rights.
That was my next question, because it's like it seems like this is only to keep the rights together. They do that all the time, every 10 years or whatever. I don't know how long it is, but it just seems like, we need to reintroduce this somehow so that we can consider claim the rights to it, which is just
so.
If you're going to get someone to watch an animated show, it would just be like the Rorschach cartoon. I mean, if Rorschach had his own thing and it was in that world and in that time before he dies, like I think that would work. But
Watchmen babies.
Because I'm not a Watchmen like fan or don't follow the Watchmen.
For vacation.
What is this particular animated story from the trailer look like? It's
just the comic.
Following. Just the first one. Just the first one.
So the only thing you need to know about Watchmen is Alan Moore wrote the Watchmen with Dave Gibbons for the art, and then afterwards DC decided to keep overinflating it, and they had Jeff Johns, a bunch of other people write before Watchmen and other before Watchmen spin-offs, and then Jeff Johns did a sequel where he tried to bring Dr. Manhattan into the main DC universe, and that didn't really pan out because no one liked that.
That's the Doomsday thing or Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, Doomsday Button. Doomsday Clock, and then they did the story with the button with Batman and Flash. They find the comedian's button, and none of those were really that great. I mean, they're all right for what they are, but it's not what the characters of Watchmen should be used for. I think they were that very specific purpose of that one book, and that's what kind of makes it definitive. And then DC's just trying to hold on to the rights so they don't have to give it back to Alan Moore, who didn't realize how much he was screwing some over. He didn't realize it was going to be the biggest book of all time, so he said, all right, if you don't print it for 5 years, I get the rights back. I can do whatever I want with them.
Right.
And DC said, challenge accepted.
Yeah. Well, and then we get animated films.
Can't they just leave it alone, you know? It's imagine if, like, if Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye ended up, like, being in other things, you know? And it's like,
that's how I always feel about this stuff.
Literature alone.
Yeah,
you know, it's something we don't need more expansion on it. Can it just be good on its own? Like, I don't know. It's all leeching and trying to profit off of like an exploit, like what you said in the comments, of like a property that has done so well and is like highly acclaimed. But you know, at the same time, leave it the fuck alone, man. We don't need like this version of it, but you know.
But we're getting it.
Do it if you're gonna do it. Do it good, I guess. Like this looks like this looks cheap, like they did.
Yeah, it looks half-assed.
Possible. And then so they could like just pump more money out of it with having to put very little.
And then made it 2 parts to sell more DVDs. Like
exactly,
it's crazy.
You can still sell DVDs or whatever, Blu-rays. So yeah, it's just exploitation, and I don't know.
Did they say who's doing the voices for these characters, or
I haven't seen the cast. I haven't seen the cast list yet.
Does it say that it's word for word the graphic novel?
No, in the trailer you can see enough scenes from the book. I think you see the Dr. Manhattan going to the chamber and stuff like that.
It took you a lot of notes from
I'm just wondering if they added it more in or out.
Take inspiration from Zack Snyder's version when he's like, it looks like straight from that movie. They just did an animation version of it. It's like a cheap version of like What If. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Like 2D animation actually would have looked way better with the style of those characters.
Yeah, like X-Men 97. If they did it like that, like that would have been great because that's still 3D. They just did like heavy line work on it and stuff like that. You know, like
I mean, is
that way.
Do we think that it's just Warner Brothers jumping on the bandwagon with knowing that X-Men 97 was about to be popular before it aired, and they decided
Watchmen's not like X-Men. It's completely different. I think
but I'm referring to trying to
Warner Brothers, so they do everything for the wrong reason.
I legitimately think this is probably catching on political reasons, where they're seeing how Watchmen is politically relevant every 4 years, so they just decide this would be good to re-release it in this format now. Like they're also releasing it in a mini comic version too. Like they just keep making more and more Watchmen stuff. Yeah, because more and more people will keep buying it and reading it.
Right.
So it puts it on par with a lot of like philosophy, like readings, like how it's just relevant always.
I mean, it's. I guess it's a little weird that you have to keep reintroducing things like that, other comic books and stuff like that. In my mind, I'm going to like when they have to reintroduce an album, like they'll reprint albums every 3 or 5 years or whatever, depending on like the band or whatever. You know, sometimes they're just reprinting it because like the new kids don't have Led Zeppelin on vinyl or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Or whatever. They're just keeping it going. This is a different situation because it's like property that somebody else owns, and they're like just basically doing it to keep.
Imagine them re-recording a Led Zeppelin album with like a new band. That's what this feels like to me.
Right,
you know?
Which they, right, and they've done things like.
Yeah, but like but I'm all for like new generations. I saw some like of my nieces today, and like they're listening to old stuff that we used to, and she's on her Spotify playlist. She got like Nirvana on there and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's cool. That's
funny.
Like, that's
cool. I think they're evergreen. Nirvana became definitely an evergreen band.
Totally. It's like just like how we in high school, Elijah, and listen to like,
hey there.
Doors or something.
Kids don't know the Beatles now at all. Right. Kids don't know any Beatles songs, and that blows my mind.
No, you got to talk to the cultured kids, Max. You can't just generalize all teenagers, man.
All of my cousins under 20 can't name more than 3 Beatles songs, and that shit hurts.
Well, that
Beatles suck anyway.
3 Beatles, if they know 3 Beatles songs, it's.
Well, Max, dude, you were an outlier as a child. Can you imagine your uncles being like, "Wait, you know what Anthrax is?" Like that was weird. You were the weird one for knowing that shit.
I think everyone at my age knew the Beatles. All our parents played the Beatles to us to death. They all got us like the Beatles one album when it came out. There was
it's like asking me when I was a kid. It's like, wait, you can't name 3 Pat Boone songs? It's like, who cares?
3 Pat Boone songs.
No, I actually can't.
Blaming grandparents now.
3 Carpenter songs.
What's up? Kids know the Beatles. They're 12 and 13.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, see, there's still kids like that, Max. I don't think like your cousins are like a small like percentage.
Music is different because people find it music. They're on their own. But I was just going for like I'm just basically saying that they have to at some point reintroduce things so that people are familiar with them again, movies or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're going to be good like the Watchmen, obviously.
Right.
Or like something like you know, like in Guardians of the Galaxy, where the soundtrack's just packed full of like classics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kids are able to know who Redbone is, or people like Brent will hear some pop music.
Yeah, he knows it. He knows the song, but it's only on his soundtrack, and he doesn't know who
like
the
Brent,
band is. He doesn't know.
Thanks to the Shrek
anything else.
soundtrack, Brent knows who Smash Mouth is. You know?
Yeah, he's like, oh,
that.
that's the soundtrack. It's from the soundtrack, right? You're like,
Yeah.
actually,
Sometimes like the relevance of
they had
something
3 or
depends
4
on
popular
what
songs that they've
is,
made commercials of and are now still millionaires because
yeah, if it wasn't for Guardians of the Galaxy, Brent would never listen to any David Bowie.
Probably not.
At least he gets one
well,
song.
except for Labyrinth.
the Labyrinth soundtrack.
I was waiting for that.
What? It was a good soundtrack.
Magic dance.
Remind me of the Bane.
Anyway,
Yeah,
moving
if you
on.
ask Brent, hey, name it. Like some old guy to Brent's head and like, name one Bowie song. And he's like, it's Magic Dance.
Yeah,
like, what's
man,
that?
yeah, you're right. Like the '90s R&B and like hip hop are kind of like a treasure trove for a lot of kids these days, and they're getting into it and they learn about who like Tupac is, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that it's good to know that that's a whole genre now, and it feels good to kind of know. Yeah, except for J. Cole and Kendrick, I agree with you there.
Fair enough. Moving on anyway.
Is canon to season 1. James Gunn actually announced that this week. I can mention asked that in the comments. James Gunn said that, you know, obviously some events, basically the Justice League showing up, is going to be not canon, but the events are going to be canon.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he said
that's the best thing to come out of the DCU.
Yeah.
And it's connected to any James Gunn stuff that he's done.
Yeah,
you don't want to let that go.
Yeah, looks like we've got both Robert Patrick and what's his name there? I can't pronounce his first name.
Judo Master.
Judo Master. Yeah. Back in season 2, so that's cool. They
did.
That
Robert Patrick is the president of a motorcycle club here in California, and I did not know that.
That's funny.
Wait, he's back? How? What?
Well, I was going to say they did kill him in season 1, right?
It'd be like a vision.
But DC, I mean, you could always come.
Oh yeah, you could always come back from the dead. Yes,
yeah, headshot. Anything more than a headshot to take you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He shot him in the head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it could be a psychological thing in the head. Anyway, it's good to see. Because James Gunn definitely likes bringing back the same people he works with. So which is cool.
A white force ghost.
Oh yeah, a white force
power ghost.
Well, I mean, he's gonna be sticking in somebody's head, you know, spewing his crap as that character. So I mean, it's always good to see that you know, Robert Patrick has always continued working since Terminator and always is doing some fun stuff, so which is cool.
Using the X-Files, he's been doing stuff since since then.
Oh no, totally, yeah. I at this point I haven't heard much more news on Peacemaker season 2, which is kind of good. I'm glad.
Oh no, there's been some news. There's been a director's been announced. The director of Superbad is going to be directing. I think the first 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, but as for what the season is going to be about, we really don't know anything.
Oh no, we're just keeping that on wrap.
Yeah, which is fair enough. I'm excited to go into season 2, you know, with a fresh slate of not knowing anything too much.
Did we ever go over the Booster Gold news? Speaking of DC stuff, yeah.
No, recently or in?
Yeah, I sent you the link. There's Booster Gold was announced with the writing directing team. It's got Danny McBride's whole squad doing the.
For real?
Doing the
That's
stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice,
cool.
Dude.
I didn't put that in here, but yeah. What else we got here?
Like comedy writing, because like that they're the most versatile. They could pretty much write anything. If you write good comedy, you probably write everything else pretty good. Yeah.
The last 2 Halloween movies have been pretty decent, or 3, whatever it was, have been, you know, serviceable.
What's 3, 4, 5?
I can't remember. I can't remember how many of them made.
Are they up to 10 now or something? I don't
They're
know.
doing a whole nother new
spin-off. Yeah. Moving on again. Fantastic Four begins filming next month, so that's hopefully going to be all positive, and we'll get a really cool story out of that. Hopefully
it turns out fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully, because
Cousin was in the Punisher series too.
Which one?
Does anyone remember that?
Who?
He's already been cast in the
Punisher. Okay, I didn't see. I didn't.
Yeah, he's in the Punisher show.
Who was?
Cousin, who plays from the
Cousin.
Bear.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't
He's
even
like
remember him in the show.
he's a big part. I know. Isn't that crazy? Like,
Oh,
he's already established.
He was the outfitter for him. What's his name?
I forgot his
I
name.
remember that guy's name right now.
He's a main character in there, but it's crazy that he's already established in Marvel.
Which would be, it's a funny thing you say that because this is my next one. Blade 2, Blade, I should say, whatever, they're now, no longer is set, the director is no longer set to direct. So, yeah.
And Wesley Snipes has been making fun of them on Twitter for a while, and it's been very entertaining.
Snipes is making fun of you. Ugh.
As soon as they posted the director was lost, he retweeted it and said, the Daywalker made it look easy for you, didn't he?
Yeah.
Blade is a good litmus test on what the state of Marvel MCU is going through right now.
No, I think the problem is it's like no one knows what to do with the character. Wesley Snipes' movie reinvented the character. Now it's like, do we do that over again, or do we do something different? But there's nothing else different to do because the character's had 27 solo issues ever.
And so
there's not much to go off.
So this becomes that question with the Blade character: is that character better off as a part of an ensemble group in the MCU?
I legitimately think so.
Yeah, I feel like we should be getting
such a thin story. I mean, you can go into he's a Daywalker, and it's been there, done that.
Yeah,
they recently gave him a daughter because no one knew what else to do with him. Right now, he's an evil vampire. I mean, he's just running in circles doing nothing.
Give a whole ensemble of characters within that same
Midnight
realm.
Suns.
A single but then give it to them. But then give them some great depth characters in their 20-minute to 30-minute slot of each of the within the film itself. So you get some really solid depth stuff rather than trying to drag their entire story arc and history.
Yeah, I think we need less origin stories and more character-based stuff. That's not about the origin.
And if a character is interesting enough, they can go back later to go back and really detail an origin story or other stuff if they want to. But I feel like just to force origin stories on every single character now seems redundant. It's draining. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He did that with Black Panther before. He just threw him in, and then later on had his own solo movie. But like you didn't need to know exactly.
Yeah.
And they summed it up in his movie.
I don't know that character.
Same. For real.
He's the one. The actor.
Oh, okay. Oh, the actor. Oh, yes.
He's supposed to be playing Blade.
I
get why he stuck around.
Because we saw him briefly. We heard his voice, or we saw him briefly at the end of what was it? Eternals.
Eternals.
Yeah.
He has the. What sort did he have?
And he was never seen
again.
Ebony
Blade.
Yeah. He was never seen again.
His disembodied voice is in it, and that they're trying to introduce him slowly.
Not slow enough, it seems, because it's way too slow.
Forget he was also already established in the Marvel universe too.
Yeah,
in Luke Cage.
I know. It's funny though because the original script started a race in Hollywood because the original script's idea was to set it during the Victorian period, and all of Hollywood was clamoring for that idea of like a Victorian vampire slayer, which made Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan make their own Victorian vampire slayer movie. It's going to be like a cooler Blade without swords.
Right.
Max,
quick. Max, I think you're the only one who've seen this, right? But My Adventures of Superman
Adventures of Superman has been so good. They just introduced Cara Danvers. She's not Supergirl yet, but she's Cara Danvers, and she's adorable. They made the most adorable version of her. They paired her with Jimmy Olsen, and it works 100%. I'm so behind the show right now. It is just the best thing that Max has been putting out.
All right.
Nice.
That's cool.
What you saying?
What's that? We got hang on a second.
MCU has three main universes.
Whatever universe the Eternals are in.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the same universe as the Inhumans, and they're all lost to time.
I feel like they're trying to bury that one. They're like, oh yeah, let's try to forget
But they're
it.
still forced. They're apparently still in the works of trying to do that sequel, second film. And
They are?
I read recently. I thought they were back on it again. That they were trying to do
that
something.
movie had the most disappointing lead up, where the writer or director Chloe Zhao was saying everything right. Like, oh my god, I love the Jack Kirby stuff. I love the Neil Gaiman stuff. Then you see it, and it's just not influenced or inspired by anything. It's just a weird road trip movie.
Yeah.
It was that was such a disappointment to me. With unlikable
what you
characters.
What's included from Jack Kirby are like the shapes and the patterns. That's about it.
They had Ashram in there, the Celestial, and then they wasted Pip at the end. Pip is such a funny character. I mean, with Infinity Watch, with X Factor, Pip is just always just one of my favorite random Marvel characters. And they threw him in the credits with Star Fox and just never circled back to it.
I could see that.
Yeah, the movies themselves. Yeah, are we getting tired of the MCU? Yeah, I mean it is.
No, I'm not tired of the MCU.
No, like He-Man says it right.
I'm a little bit
getting tired of bad movies, not the universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be the opposite. I think that movie was, to quote Deadpool, maximum effort.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean that's gonna help things with the MCU for a bit.
It's going to tie everything back in. That's going to be like the next breath of air for Marvel for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they know it too. They know they need to do something really big that's going to get an audience back in because they're losing their audience so quickly.
Which is crazy. They're not doing anything at Comic-Con for it because I don't know how I'm going to have to wait like a week to see it.
Yeah. I mean, what's even going to Comic-Con this year? It's like next month, right?
No, that's the thing I hate about San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Absolutely no announcements for anything. Like there's
really?
I don't even know. I haven't seen anything for the Artist Alley. I haven't seen anything for panels. I haven't seen really much.
They're going to do it late. They always do it like, they'll do it at the beginning of next month. They'll start like telling people.
I had to actually physically ask the writer of the movie. I said, "Is there going to be anything Deadpool related at Comic-Con for like a fan screening or anything?"
Right.
Just because there was no info online anywhere, and everyone assumed there was going to be a fan screening. It was the biggest superhero movie of the summer at the biggest con of the summer, but
I'm sure there would. I mean, you can go across the street and go to a movie theater, so I'm sure they'll figure. Something will be there for that. For sure.
Yeah.
Anchorman, no.
Any other?
Mark Wahlberg should not be in the MCU.
No.
Yeah, we can keep Wahlberg out.
It's not. That's not. Moon Knight. I feel like they were setting up for like the Dark Knights with Moon Knight.
Yeah, Midnight Suns. He's
gonna team up with Blade. I feel like they'd be in this. They'd be finding the same type of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Give me Moon Knight. Give me Blade. Give me Werewolf by Night. Give me Ghost Rider. That's a 4-person team. Yeah. Just all completely different types of power sets and abilities, but all chasing one. I think they should put Lilith.
And again, it means that each one of those characters don't have to be dragged out for a full 2-hour film. They can each get their own set of half-hour moments over the course of the film, but you get a stronger background to this character.
No, like think of the actors attached to these roles. They're all great actors.
Yeah.
You know, the like somehow Oscar Isaac has maintained his like integrity even after certain things, but still like he's still managed to be so good. And same with Gael Garcia Bernal and the Man Thing, whoever's behind that.
Those would actually
Elijah, go for it.
Those would actually be cool if they had like an old school like Creep Show or Twilight Zone the movie where they have like 4 segments and they all run into each other with those characters and give them 30-40 minutes in a movie and see how that goes. And then I can expand from there because those are all cool characters.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
E-Man has a great movie right there. Grindhouse 60-minute movie of each.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, that'd be cool. I still would want to see a kind of like a tie-in by the end of it with all 4 of them interlinked together.
I mean, I think that the Midnight Suns is kind of like the most informal team in Marvel. Like, it's just cool to have that whole spiritual magic side of characters able to connect in a way that's not just Doctor Strange saying, "Do what I tell you to do."
Right. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know, there's a lot. I just don't think that they got it in them after all the bad rap that they're getting.
Yeah.
I feel like MCU's afraid to run with anything right now because.
Well, I think they're holding on to see how they're holding off to see how well Deadpool does with the audience, and obviously they even the pre-sales tickets are amazing. They still don't know how whatever the story is they're going to be telling us in that.
I can fully see them shifting to doing X-Men earlier than people predict, just because they know it's going to be their saving grace. Like after X-Men 97, people are just fully on board with X stuff. I think there's so many actors and wrestlers even just campaigning for these X-Men roles. I've seen so many prominent people campaigning for Storm, for Colossus, for Cyclops, and I think it's one of those things that it's just going to take Marvel back to that point that they want to be at.
Yeah.
I hope
and
so.
As for Kang, he was never heard of again. Anyway, let's move on.
What do you mean? He got beat up by Ant-Man. That's the end of the story.
Wow.
Ant-Man beat him up to death.
There you go. All of them. Yeah, all of them. Anyway, let's jump on a little bit. Star Wars Outlaws dropped a 10-minute little scene. Apparently, you can also play this game, and when you play it, you can be finishing the game in 30 hours, but for completionists, it's around 50 to 60 hours of gameplay.
That's pretty standard.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know. I just thought I saw it there and stuff like that. But I'm curious to, I saw that 10-minute scene. I thought it was really cool. Looks interesting. Again, not being a game player. We'll do something over at your place, Max.
It seems like the Star Wars games would you would want to play the Star Wars games. Like,
which is weird. It's attention span to any games.
You might say that you're not good at video games. I'm not great at video games either. But if it's a game that I want to play, Spider-Man or something, I really want to. It's cool because you get to feel like Batman. You're playing as Batman.
But it's not about whether I think it's cool. You would think so, but my attention span to playing a video game.
That's because you haven't played modern games, though. I think
you're talking about Centipede.
No,
this isn't like that. Where
I'm not sure about that.
It doesn't have a 10-minute replay value. These 30 hours of original content going.
I feel like you just gave them a chance.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Max, when you get the game, I'll come over. We'll play it at your place, and we'll sit down.
I'll download all of the Star Wars games.
Draw you in. That's a part of it. Is you're playing these games and they draw you in. You want to keep. It's set up like a movie.
I get what they're designed for.
You're walking through it's crazy.
Yeah,
you would definitely like it. And if it was an intuitive Star Wars game, I don't see why you wouldn't love it.
No,
I'll download the Jedi games too. You can try
well, I did watch. No, I watched the 3-hour story arc of Jedi Survivor.
You miss a lot of context with just watching.
Right? No, but I got enough. I understood. It was a good story. Yeah.
You're missing some audience, some Star Wars audience.
He put his foot down, Elijah. He's not going to play games.
I told you. I'm going to go to Max's where Max gets.
If I had the money, I would buy you a.
We will film something. We will film something. We'll do something. Maybe even Jason will hook it up on your Twitch channel and do a live stream or something like that. Because you can do games through the Twitch live stream, can't you?
I think so. We'd have to
I don't know how to do that.
What I'm saying is you need to get a game and go through the whole demo, the whole walkthrough.
Sure, but then you can see how bad I really truly am. I mean,
that doesn't matter. If you're bad, then you're bad at home, but you could still walk around the world and everything. I don't know. I guess you don't.
You put it in easy mode, you basically can't die.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not even about. It's not even about dying. It's about hand-thumb coordination. I have none. I cannot do that. I think I'm going left and I'm actually going right. I mean, it's that is the problem. And it's every time. It's not just a matter of, I've got to train my brain. My brain won't train it. Anyway, we're not going to go into that.
You can figure it out. It's not rocket science.
Yes, it is. Anyway.
The whole world you're missing is Star Wars. It's like a Star Wars
there you go.
universe
exactly,
you don't know.
Yeah. Acolyte premiered with 11.1 million global viewers in the first 5 days, which is the biggest premiere in 2024, which is cool. Let's talk a little bit about Acolyte, guys. We kind of briefly talked about the first 2 episodes. Elijah, you had not caught up on episode 2, and all of us hadn't seen episode 3 by that point. What were your thoughts on episode 2, Elijah? Briefly, just give us a rundown. What you know. Are you getting into it?
It's not really. Like you're saying Marvel fatigue. I'm feeling Star Wars fatigue.
Okay.
Because it's Star Wars, but it's like meaning less and less.
Sure.
It seems like it's meaning less and less. Star Wars is just less meaningful to me as it goes. Not that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's not like I don't like this. It's good, but I'm also just like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm saying. I can say I'm hoping for, but it's not grabbing me like I would like.
All right.
Like maybe Mandalorian first did, or like the last half of Andor or whatever. You know, sometimes I'm really intrigued by it. Other times I'm just like, okay, it's wizards and magic and force powers and.
Max, what were your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this
episode
show.
3.
I mean, I really dig it. I think they're building towards Darth Plagueis. I think they're really hinting at a lot of ideas from like stuff like that. They did introduce the idea of creating a life through the Force, which was Darth Plagueis' kind of whole deal. I think I'm waiting for some of the plot to kind of snap into place. Obviously, we're getting only half of that story.
We might even be getting just a third of that story because it's.
I want to see more of the present day stuff too, because I want to see. They definitely have like a symbiotic relationship to those, the past and the present, and I want to see just how everything snaps into place. I do really dig it though. I think it's been a cool ride, and I just kind of want to see more of that. I wish it was released every episode at once because I feel like it'd be a really good binge.
Nah, see, it probably will be, but I'm enjoying the week by week speculation. Jason, what are your thoughts on episode 3 there? Because we're getting I feel we're getting a good mystery, which is set up to be as a mystery in the Star Wars universe of a whodunit mystery.
Yeah, I just wish it was better written. Like
really?
I don't think it's. I think it's really badly written right now. I feel the same way about like us. I get the same way I feel about Rings of Power watching this.
Really?
I know what you mean, though. The chant was really lazy in that last episode. I thought side by side the Bene Gesserit fears the mind killer whole spiel next to the power of one, the power of many. And I was like, oh, yeah, they really didn't put that much effort into that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It just could be better. Like I said before, if this wasn't Star Wars, I wouldn't be watching it.
Right.
It's the only thing tying me to watch it is that it's part of Star Wars. Well, but like I just think the writing could be a lot better. It feels lazy and kind of lacking to me.
I mean, it still is in a basic form, targeted at children to a certain degree. It has to be, but that
doesn't mean it has to be bad writing, though.
Right. I'm trying to understand what I'm trying to understand.
If it was trying to target children, it'd be a lot safer. This show is definitely more towards the teen to adult market. Really, I mean, if we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of it, I don't think this is a show made specifically for children. I think they don't need to talk down to the audience, but the way some of the events are playing out, I think it's reductionist in some ways. Let's say I don't like it, but I think it's definitely reductionist in the way it views some of the Star Wars things. Everything's very black and white in this show. I'm waiting for that grayness to kind of kick in.
I feel like we're going to get that from this because obviously the Jedi are a major part of this.
I'm still watching it. I'm still going to continue watching it.
But I was going to say, Jason, what do you consider in the reference of bad writing? Is it bad characters? Is it bad dialogue? Is it bad?
I don't know anyone's motivation. Like it's not. They're not telling us anyone's motivation on why they do certain things, and it's just kind of flat characters all around to me.
Boom. See. I mean, I get.
Yeah.
Right.
These. I mean, it looks like Star Wars, but it's not grabbing me. These characters aren't going anywhere. They're not giving the information that you need to care about these characters.
But again, it's a mystery. They're not going to give you everything at the end of each episode.
I don't need everything. I just need to understand why characters are doing the things they do. Things just happen, and I don't. It's just not convincing to me. And I feel like that's a flaw.
Interesting, because I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm probably enjoying this show more than some of the other shows because I feel like that we are getting so many ties into connection of what we have seen before in some ways, but doing it in a different thing. The whole idea of there being a chosen one has been there for 25,000 years in the Star Wars universe. So you'd expect that the Sith and the Jedi are searching for this chosen one. This is obviously an incorrect chosen one deal, but they get the word that you've got this, child that's, or children who are being born and connected to the Force, and you're getting insight that you have to be able to look deeper on certain levels when you were watching this stuff and understanding what George Lucas was trying to do in the first place with stuff. And I feel like I can see that deepness, whether that means that I understand the animated shows a lot better, whether that means that I've watched the prequels and understand the prequels enough. There is all these elements in there that work for me, in the sense of everything from actually I wrote this down, but you've got this ability, you've got Palpatine saying in The Last Jedi, the dark side of the Force is a path to which many abilities consider unnatural. That's referring to the fact that is also playing with what happens when you have something like a Night Sister or a Night Mother playing around with magic. We're getting this intersection of why the Jedi ban this sort of stuff or look down on this sort of stuff, because this is what we're looking at here. Palpatine searching for that sort of stuff, and it's played out before, whether it's through Plagueis, through whoever is the Sith Lord at this point in time. You are getting these elements of all these pieces that have been mentioned, that have been talked about, but we're getting a lot more depth to that sort of stuff in this show. Jason,
yeah, I guess if you look at it that way, but just the execution of these characters that we're watching aren't really working for me. That's all. Like, I just think
pick a character that's not working. So let's say Soul. What's happening with Soul's character? Why is Soul a character?
I like Soul. He's cool.
No, I don't mind Saul. But May and
the girls,
May and Osha.
Let's talk about the kids.
I just wish I understood why Osha wanted to be a Jedi so bad. I wish they showed us a lot more of why she was
right.
She leaned more towards Jedi after being raised by a bunch of witches.
And then the same question you go for May is, why did she turn so dark so quickly on her sister? And I feel like those answers are going to be answered. There has to be this element.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to keep...
I feel like you've got the Jedi somehow whispering in May's ear. Sorry, in
this is all speculation. This is all speculation.
Right, it is. But it feels like that you've got a Sith Lord waving around in May's ears, and she's been...
Yes, there's all these possibilities and things that could be happening.
Correct, but that's part of the mystery of it. That's part of the idea of the mystery.
There's mystery, and then there's just lazy writing.
Why is it lazy writing if we haven't got the full story yet? We haven't got the full story. You sound like you're looking for the full story on these girls by episode 3 of a 8-part story.
I'm not looking for a full story. I'm just looking for a more convincing reason on why Osha would want to be a Jedi.
But what's the character motivation? But the motivation of the character.
Because
exactly. What is the motivation of the character? We don't know yet.
I wish we.
Yeah.
All right, you talk then. You're asking me questions. I'm trying to answer. You keep talking over me. Like what? No, I wish she had more motivation. I think that would be a lot better if we understood why she wanted to be a Jedi so bad and why the temple had to burn down because of that,
Right. But again,
all right. I understand there's a lot of hate for this show, right? Because of its wokeness, but I promise I'm hating it for the right reasons. There's people out there who hate it for the right reasons. And
I understand. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but it's also a matter of you are literally asking what I just said that you were asking for, which is you wish to know more in this particular episode by episode 3 why a character would be turning dark side and why another character would be searching out something like the Jedi after not knowing any given element to that. And I feel like if you're going to create a good mystery, you're going to keep certain things in hold and in check that will come together at a later point in time. The fact that we are aware that these characters have got these different paths going for them is, for me, opening that question more, but it isn't necessarily something I want answered right there and then. I don't want to know that this the kid of Osha, might have been reading a book on the Jedi. We don't know that yet, and be enthralled by the idea of the Jedi. They might have been stories from their coven, and again, it's like I feel like there's this element of this particular story, because I know that Star Wars shows have not done it well in the past, where they leave us hanging with a partial thought about how this is going to play out, and we don't get a satisfying answer by the end of it. I feel like that we are going to get a different element in this story, because I feel like because it is set up as a murder mystery element of who's killing the Jedi, that we are going to get a relatively more solid answer to some of these questions. I'd like to revisit this at the end of episode 8 and kind of, see.
No, yeah, I understand like the
Yeah.
withholding
Yeah.
of information for like a mystery or something like that, but
Yeah.
I feel like they could have easily just included a lot more fleshing out of the characters more in this last episode
Fair enough.
to give more of a better understanding of why they're doing the things that they're doing.
Right.
That's not asking
Yeah.
too much.
Oh no! When May just turns pure like evil on her sister, that's the reason. Like I'm sitting there with I'm confused. I'm confused, but I'm confused in the satisfying fact that we will get
soothing Star Wars way
that we are going to get an answer, and that's what has made the last week of waiting. No, I just say this element of like waiting a week, taking in the speculation and healthy speculation or conversation on that is been interesting to me. There has been some healthy speculation by people online who have been fans, and there are the other people, as you said, who chose to see the wokeness of it all and all that. And
I think
honestly,
wokeness is the wrong word. I think
I do too.
Sensitivity in the show,
diversity.
There's diversity, inclusivity.
That's
and people
the
hated that for the
catch-all.
wrong reason.
It's the catch-all term that they use for that type of
I know,
stuff.
but I think when you use it, it gives them the strength to keep using that word woke like it's a
I agree. I hate the word, but
I ignore all those people anyways. But like,
me
I'm
too.
just looking at it as just a story that's being told to me, and I'm like intrigued by like who this apprentice who's pulling the strings behind him. I'm okay with pulling that type of information, but like when you're showing the kids and like Osha's there playing with a butterfly, and then May comes up and like starts doing the same thing with the butterfly. Osha gets visibly angry at her, but then like, why? What's her problem with it? Like that's what I mean. Like it's cool with like the kind of stuff that's happening, but I feel like they could have dialed a lot more in fleshing out them as children, more than they actually did.
Yeah, the showrunner has said specifically that she's taking elements of all the Star Wars movies that have been inspirational to what she's doing to tell this story. I can tell you right away that Ben Solo, they mentioned this in, The Last Jedi, I think it was, where Ben Solo was influenced by Snoke at a young age. And so, young child Ben Solo would have, Snoke whispering in his ear, and you'd have this element there, and I feel like that seems like a duplication of what we've seen before. So I feel like very well that is obviously a reason. This kid, May, has had a voice in her ear from a dark side element that has been manipulating her at a very young age.
I understand how this connects to the lore, but like for me to understand like one character's motivations on why they do a certain thing shouldn't require me to like go back and like look like, oh, this is how Star Wars does it. You know what I mean? Like it could be. It's what I mean by badly written. That could easily be told in there in that small amount of time. Of her motivation,
but it might be giving something. But it might be giving something away, because I feel like that.
If you have to withhold this much back from like something this simple from like the story for us, like getting information, it better pay off then. Like that's a lot
We'll
riding
see.
on this.
We'll see. No, you're
But,
right.
like,
You're right. Yeah.
you asked me what I thought, and that's what I
No,
felt.
totally. No, that's it.
know,
I love the challenge of the.
Like, think of like, oh yeah, Snoke whispers, so like they whisper into their ears. So there's a good chance that, but this is all still just speculation. Like,
totally, yeah.
That much
speculation. But then that's part from my perspective.
Motivation.
That's part of the fun of it. And granted, yes, in the past we've had people who speculated ideas that are better than what we get in the final thing, and that's all I think any of us are hoping for, is to come out of the end of.
This is the whole thing.
That we are entertained. Yeah.
But this is the whole thing. Like it's reliance on being a Star Wars for the sake of it being any good, is what I have issue with on this. Like, if this needs to, as a show, it should be able to stand alone as a show, and you wouldn't require any further reading to understand what's happening in there, or to try to justify certain choices.
Right.
Like, it should be able to just be a good story that's being told. And if you're trying to explain why I'm confused, that I'm not thinking about further lore that happened before to kind of justify these choices that they're making, I think that's a flawed story already from the get. So that's just how I feel about it.
Fair enough.
Characters' motivations. No, I just need suggestions on why the characters are doing certain things. Like it just makes them feel like things just happened because they needed to happen in this last episode. That's what I meant.
Really?
It's like, because Saul talks about how everything's burnt, and so I wanted to know why that happened. I was excited to learn why May would choose to burn down her whole family.
But
and
by the way,
and like by the time we get it, it's like, wait, that's why.
By the way,
so quick, and so that was a weird sequence.
Well, yeah, because we definitely don't have the other part of the story. There's a second story going on there.
And I don't understand why that stone was on fire.
Oh, shut up about the stone. It could be the planets.
Don't even get me started on that. I'm going to ignore that because that's reductive on the conversation.
There is a moment, though, something starts, and we're going to get a backstory for this. And there's a moment where Coral gets her attention pulled away from the training right after the girls have been doing the training of the two, the Force and everything. She walks off and hears a noise, and then you see the generator doing some weird sparking things, and this is way beforehand. So there is something happening at that moment in time that changes everything, whether it's Jedi, whether it's Sith, whether it's something completely different.
Corell, she could be a good runner-up for The Apprentice.
She could be a good runner-up for the Apprentice. She is not seen in the body of all of the dead.
She seems really iffy and really sketchy towards anything with the Jedi.
Yeah.
And so she could have it could have been a situation where if they're going to take them, I'm not going to let. It's either we have everything or you have nothing at all. And so she'd rather destroy the whole coven than let the girls get taken away by Jedi or something like that.
I feel like we are being dropped all these, like a good mystery, that we've been dropped these elements of characters who could be suspects, and I think that's, and we're starting to see that. I still have the belief that Indara could very well be, who's Carrie-Anne Moss's character. I feel like if a Sith was hidden well enough, like Palpatine did, and he managed to stay in the Senate all those years, what's to say that there isn't a Sith Lord who's infiltrated the Jedi Order, and that could have been her too, which would make the Jedi seem even more naive, to that kind of
that wouldn't do justice. It's like, what's the point of the Jedi after all these years? If that happens to be if she happens to be like the Sith Lord, it's like the Jedi are completely useless for centuries. There's really I want to see them at their peak. Like, we've always been seeing them at their downfalls,
right? Yeah,
because this is another downfall of them.
Well, it is, and they officially said this is going to be where the Jedi downfall towards. So
by the time we see them in the prequels, it's been 100 years since their downfall. They've just been falling since.
The Jedi have plenty of patience, it seems, in these things. Anyway, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Star Wars. It rhymes. Come on, that's George Lucas's, thing. It rhymes. It repeats itself.
It's like poetry.
That's it. Exactly.
Why are people saying this breaks lore?
Oh, I have no idea.
They're phobic. They're
Yeah.
phobic. That's the
they're absolutely they're phobic. Yeah, I agree. People say it breaks lore because they think
he's so mad.
they think the idea of the chosen one and Anakin Skywalker being the chosen one.
Old stuff.
Yeah.
It's so steep in all the Star Wars.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
This is destroying the canon because there's characters and I don't like what they look like.
Well,
like
Yoda says in Revenge of the Sith, referring to the prophecies, a prophecy that misread could have been, referring to Anakin at the time, they weren't too sure. And it's like, well, maybe there's been other prophecies that they thought were the ones that were the right prophecy, like this event. And you've got this element of, this wasn't the right prophecy. So you've got these elements of tie-in that do work on that very, subtle level. And that's what I'm enjoying about that as a fan who observes all that stuff in the future stuff as well. So,
well, one thing I saw was that they're saying it breaks, or they're claiming that it will break lore by kind of putting the Jedi in a different light in this one. How they seem more like cops coming in, kind of like just find children, and like kind of like the viewpoint of the Jedi in this episode. Look at them as kind of like the bad guys compared to the witches.
Yeah, but it's
the way they are,
But
it's like kind of enforcers than any type of spiritual leaders.
But that's what this is. This is the beginning of that because they're not training Jedi kids with lightsabers right now. And in the prequels, all the kids that got lightsabers really young was they're training to be fighters earlier.
You see that actually in the comics happen after the fall of the Starlight Citadel and they conflict with the Nile. Yoda activates. I can't remember what the program is called, but it's what advances to give the younglings training in Jedi force and lightsaber combat at a young age, and you actually see that in the comics in the High Republic.
Right. But you don't. I mean, you haven't seen it here. But at the same time, you got characters like
all that stuff's canon. They've been mentioning those comics in the Acolyte.
No. I get that.
The bearish vow of silence. Is it bearish or is, I can't remember what the character is? Right. But that's all from the comics. They're deeply coordinated with the whole High Republic team and like Charles Soule and everyone who's writing these comics and books to make the show deeply rooted in not only the old canon, but the High Republic canon that's been going on.
By the way, just to, because we'll wrap this up pretty much now, but the one imagery that I thought was really cool that we saw, hey Enzo, it's Enzo.
Hey Enzo. Special cameo.
There's a special cameo.
Did you just wake up?
The chosen one. The one image that we actually got from this when the fire started on the rock. We've got Darth Vader's actual helmet design as part of the door design, which I thought was a really cool production design moment. I didn't catch that one, did you, Elijah?
It's cool, but it doesn't help anything.
You just said when the rock was on fire.
I said when the rock was on fire.
Why is the goddamn rock on fire?
Because there's a good chance that this planet is just built differently and rock is combustible. And rock could be combustible on this planet. We don't know the ingredients to this planet. Anyway,
rock is rock.
Rock is rock.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys.
I don't know why that rock was catching fire. It's weird.
Anyway, guys.
I don't know how many mental gymnastics you need to get through that one. That's crazy.
Imagine there's a line like a half hour beforehand. We treat all our rocks with 100% pure space fuel.
Oh, shut up, guys! If you enjoyed our reaction and our complicated,
these are the flaws. These are one of the many flaws of this show. I'm sorry.
You know what to do. Subscribe, enjoy, send a like, and we'll catch you next week. We'll be talking about whatever news drops next week. There you go. And thanks for the chat. Thank you guys for being in the chat there. We'll catch you all later.